और वो सिर्फ मोहाली लोगों के लिए स्ट्रीम होगा because many people cannot come here. तो सिर्फ this album to prefer
Guys, so thank you for taking out time at like whatever 10:20 after the entire day of these lectures. And did you guys have a quiz today or just no extra classes? Okay. So after having gone through Shree's madam stuff, and I believe Deloitte being here, and also the dinner that you guys would have enjoyed, taking out time for this session. So I don't want to take too much time, just introducing the session, etc. Right? This is the session that we did last time around was more around informal interaction with you guys, and getting to some of the questions. A lot of the questions around the CV we glossed over, saying we'll be here specifically for the CV workshop, and we'll answer your nitty-gritty of whether I should add this, shouldn't add this, what should I put, not put, etc. As a part of the CV workshop. So here we are to cover that. Also, in extension over tomorrow, we will be doing some one-on-ones with you guys on your CVs. So you'll get stuff that you're not able to cover today and have like specific questions on your CVs. I think the consulting lab's already kind of scheduled a set of one-on-ones tomorrow with the 5 of us who are here. We will also be down for another session on one-on-ones, maybe in a couple of weeks' time when you guys start out on your term 4. So those guys are not covered tomorrow, will be covered then. In addition, we will be launching an offline portal. So those of you who can't meet us in person, you can send us the resumes on that email ID, and somebody from the McKinsey team will be an Alan who will pick it with us just to get feedback, right? And also, I'm just adding that none of this is like evaluative in any way, right? These are alums from ISP who want to just help you out as we were helped out when we were going through this process, right? And CV is one of the main things, the first thing that comes up with any company. Also, just to caveat, what we'll be highlighting here, is specific to McKinsey, but also more for consulting. It does help in other interviews with other companies, right? But you should also take it with a pinch of salt for other roles that this may not be the best way to showcase your points. Let's say with a finance role, right? So you should get in touch with alums from that particular field for specific advice on how to structure example of finance CV. So most of what we talk here is does apply to all CVs. Consulting in specific and McKinsey even in more specific. So with that, I think I just want the team to introduce. I think we didn't have the same team last time.
Hi, I'm Swati Mittal. From the class of 2015, I was part of the ISB Mohali campus and have been with McKinsey for a year now.
Hi, first of all, thanks, Ganesh, for the excellent incentive program that you put in place. Quite evident. But hi, my name is Chayan, and I'm from the Mohali campus. Been with McKinsey for almost a year now. Before ISB, I worked for 5 years, 3 years with a bank and 2 years with an NGO.
I am Ankit. I'm from class of 2016. I was a part of Hyderabad campus and have recently joined the firm. Hi, I am Mohit, class of 2016. Not from IFB. I'm from IIM Bangalore. So even I had 3 years of work experience in banking. I've worked with Citibank before joining the firm.
You are under no obligation to sign any attendance sheet. For the resume reviews, yeah. For that definitely, because they won't be able to sign you up to the one-on-one sessions, right? So, and those of you who don't know me, I'm Kushagar Gupta, class of 2014, Mohali campus. Pre-ISB, 4 years of experience with Lehman Brothers. And then post ISP 2 years now at the firm, now an associate at the firm. Spent time in strategy and operations across TMT, meaning tech, and defense, aerospace, metals, mining. Glad to be here, doing part of the ISB recruiting team this year, specifically for Mohali. You'll see me a lot in each event that is here. Yeah, I think then we should get started. I think what we want to do is open up with, let's say, 15 minutes is what we thought of questions that you guys specifically want on CVs. Like we have, as you can see, like McKinsey, we have a deck here, but we don't want to be going through it, right? We want to be tailoring this to what you need, right? So let's budget around 15 minutes or so to get your questions in on CVs, right? Specifically to CVs, we can talk about everything else offline, but let's keep the session to CVs. So any questions, we'll start noting them down, and as we go through some of the structured thinking that we have behind CVs, we'll ensure that all the questions get answered. So, close open to you guys.
One question that I have is the soft skills that you acquire during your professional experience, like you handle like multiple stakeholders, and you the softer parts of your profession, like how you're comfortable traveling to different locations. How do you put that across in the CV? As in, not from the technical point, like not how many savings you've done and all that, but the other skills.
Got it.
How many people evaluate each CV? Like, because the subjective aspects to CV. So how
Okay,
is that?
cool.
Aspirants should have a lot of experience. They would have worked in a number of profiles. They may not be sure that we will capture each and every aspect. So how to basically capture best in the
Got it. Large work X. You had.
What about how many spikes do you need? Like, what are the 3 sections? You heard a lot about spikes.
Okay, spikes.
And what constitutes a spike?
What constitutes a spike?
So how detailed do you go in a project? I'm assuming that you don't need to detail entire thing.
Mm-hmm.
So if your main role is leading the project, what do you write there?
Okay.
Apart from having that.
The extent of detail, basically. Got it.
I've heard of this term called total package concept.
Okay.
Where basically your resume should have, let's say, significant proportion of all the 3 sections: your academic, professional, and leadership and extracurricular activities. To what extent is that true? And can you have, let's say, long work experience and a very short academic credentials?
I think we can cover it as a part of spikes plus large work experience. Something like that.
Spread of sections.
Okay, spread of sections policy. Yeah.
So we talk about spikes all the time. What exactly is spike? How do you evaluate that? Is it like scale or a differentiating factor?
Got it.
So more
on the spikes.
Let us say you are applying to a job that your past experience isn't in line with that. So what would be the specific qualities you would want to highlight in your CV?
Okay. Say new domain or a new position.
The CV design is only a function or skill set or achievements.
Okay, function, skill set, achievables.
What's the importance of impact creating numbers?
Impact creating numbers.
How should an entrepreneurial experience be mentioned in the CV? Should it be mentioned in work experience or eliminate that?
Entrepreneurship.
So what if your work experience has not involved something which can be translated into numbers?
How do you quantify it?
How important is the ISB resume?
ISB resume format.
How do you best express the outcomes of the long-term project, the benefits of which are going to be mostly qualitative in nature?
How to quantify it?
The project has not been undertaken to quantify. It is mostly to help improve the work and so on. And the benefits will pan out over the next 2-3 years.
Or still you can put it as how to quantify. We'll figure out multiple ways of quantifying. How to quantify.
Seemingly not quantifiable stuff. Chronological is your question. Functions versus chronological.
I think we had something. Anything else?
If you're having multiple roles or designations at the same time, how do you meet that apart?
Multiple roles and designations at the same time. Okay. Anything else? Key things which we usually expect, but
So, if you have a brief tenure at a company, how do you mention those impacts within the resume? I mean, how do you show the impact? Because you generally learn in a few months. You don't really deliver until like 6 months, but if somebody mentions there's a very short tenure, so how do you quantify?
how to quantify it?
Short.
How to quantify it?
In terms of innovation, we normally cannot mention anything beyond below under that. There is a prominent spike should be mentioned.
Is it okay to do part-time work, especially while it is
Part-time work.
Any question, GPA?
Whether to mention GPA or not.
No, how much
you were there in last time session and you still want to but I'm glad that you got it up because I think a lot of people have the question and I didn't get the question, so I was thinking, yeah, some people have evolved.
So suppose you've done a good amount of work in a non-official role. This is basically outside your official boundaries or so. How do you put that? I mean, if you've done a significant amount of work.
So I guess integrity knows what things in your Sunday. So how we put across integrity.
Okay, integrity.
So sometimes you have you're working in a team and the team achieved certain things like savings numbers. So how do you put across or distinguish between the work that you did versus what the team was able to achieve?
Okay. Team versus self.
How far behind should you go in terms of the extracurriculars? Like if you did it like 2.5 years back or 3 years back, and that's the amount of work that you have. If you should mention that extracurricular that you did in college or something along those
Achievements versus work.
Again, quantification of achievements and quantification of
quantification also, but or kuch anything else? That is quantification. Anything else, guys? How do you link? Okay, how the flow in the CV is kind of what you're asking. Okay, anyway, we should take it on the floor and let's see if we can answer that question. Anything else?
How to use bolding?
Bolding. Anything else? Or we're good. And more things will come out as you see, go through it. Okay. Cool.
I think the first question soft skills.
So what we do is like first kind of go through some of the basic stuff that seems logical at this point of time, but we just put it down in a easy to read format. Some of the things that you guys brought up may be answered here, and we'll also go into examples of maybe our CVs, some that we have access to here on what works, what doesn't work, right? And then let's address each part of the CV itself, and I think we can just check for more questions along each part of the CV, right? So just putting the CV in a broader perspective, right? At least we at McKinsey, right? We would look for 4 things in any particular candidate, right? One would be, first and foremost would be leadership. Have you exhibited leadership? And it can be a broad definition of leadership, right? You don't really need to be a team leader to exhibit leadership. So have you exhibited leadership? Have you shown drive, persistence towards whatever you have achieved till now? Have you shown personal impact? And how is your problem solving ability? These are the 4 main things that we kind of look for in a candidate. Out of this, the CV actually gives us some insight into your leadership and drive. Also, partly in terms of problem solving, we want to see, obviously from the great work that you guys have done before coming to ISB, right? We want to see how have you led, how have you taken the initiative, have you persisted through times, right? And basic kind of exhibition of you've solved tough problems, right? So these are the 2 main things that the CV/resume looks at. Then the other parts of the process, the personal interview would look at the top 3 things. Case interview would look at personal impact and problem solving, right? So we come to these 2 as we move ahead in the process. CV specifically leadership, drive, and a little bit of problem solving is always what we're looking for. Right? So just putting it in a broader context of the entire process. Now, if we go into breaking down the CV into a structure, right? So you would have 3 things that most companies would look for in a CV from a broad outlook. One is the structure of the CV. So, this is around sections, how much weight you give to each section. Do you follow a standard format, right? And just to put things into perspective, it is usually we would spend, let's say, 5 minutes on a CV. So you need to impress in those 5 minutes when we go into the CV. So, content, while it's very important, and that's what will make or break it at the end of the day, right? Structure helps us feel, you are organized and you know where to give importance to. The second one, and obviously the most important one, is content, and how do you put your entire life history kind of into that one page. And then we have a lot of pointers on that, so I won't dwell on it more. And the third is aesthetics, right? Do we want to see a CV which is so cluttered that I can't figure out one point from the other or one section from the other? I just have 5 minutes to go through it. A lot of times even less than that. So you would want to present stuff so that you get the most important points up front out to the reviewer. So that's the three big sections.
Shah, just to add here, we tried to quickly classify the points that we've come across in all these 3 buckets. Most of it is content,
Like
A couple of us, these are structures, and there is just one around aesthetics. So
yeah.
we can spend proportional amount
We
of
spend
time on
proportional time, but we should also highlight a little bit on, especially on aesthetics, because that's the first thing we see.
Yeah.
Even before reading it. So on the structure, right? Two things on the format and flow. Now, we suggest that you use the standard ISB format. It's what we are most used to looking at also. It's what we created. But at the same time, there is enough leeway within the ISB format for you to highlight things. And then we come to individually, each of us have kind of tailored the ISB format to what we thought looked best. Right? So broadly, I think there was a question around the ISB format, how sacrosanct it is, right? You should stick to it as a framework, but feel free to modify certain aspects of it so that you're able to bring out the best points that you have on your CV. Right? There is a choice that you basically make, whether you go chronological or skill-based, specifically on WorkX. A little bit on extracurriculars where you might think of clubbing things together based on a particular interest or passion, or you might just have it in one chronological format. A third one, which is also preferred, especially for the extracurriculars, is the order of impact. Right? You want to bring the stuff that has a higher impact, shows you as a differentiated person before we read the CV from top to bottom. Right? So the earlier you bring it to a notice that you have a spike, the better. So that's on the format. On the flow, please make it bullet points and no long paragraphs or things like that, right? And do classify them properly into the sections. There are certain points which which may logically belong to one section, but it's so strong that you might want to highlight it somewhere higher up in the CV, right? So that we can, you can take a call based on what best highlights your profile. At the same time, you need to kind of balance also the three sections. So that's something that you will have to play with, and you can get Alan's comment on it, whether it makes sense here, or makes sense below, or makes sense in the work section. So that's the.
Just a couple of points here. One is about format. I'm sure you would think that why do we want only ISB format? Why not be more creative? Why can't you put it? It's not that creativity or anything is being punished here. It's just easier for the alums to go through your CVs if it's in a very standard format that they're very used to. We also do we insist on this? It was just because of that. Alums who are shortlisting, who are reviewing, are doing multiple things at a time. It's just to make their life easy. Another reason why.
Yeah, that is true, because we'll be kind of giving your non-batch size or the class size is what 800, 900. So we would expect 450 of you to at least send us your CVs. Higher the number, the better for the campus, the worse it is for us. But yeah, so we would like to see some form of standardization. But at the same time, you will, once we highlight our CVs, right, there are certain personal elements that we've put in, which are only specific to us, just because they bring out the points much better. So, on just the tips to improve, you already.
Somebody has a question.
Yes.
I just want you to build on the second point that says use skill-based to show variety and experience in the same company. How do we go about doing that?
So I think we should cover it in content, but essentially this comes this point comes usually from guys who've been in consulting before. So they've worked across multiple projects, short-term projects, right? And they've done quite a lot of work, and it's tough to actually put everything on it. So there, what makes sense is bucketing stuff into skills, right? So while it does show you've done so much that you can't really put everything down, but at the same time, you're saying these are the 4 or 5 things that really constitute what I've achieved at that particular firm, right? And highlighting only the most important points that skills. Ankit, who will speak about it because he crafted his CV in that way. What my suggestion also is, I actually did 2 versions of the CV. I did one which was skill based, and I did one which was position based. And then I took feedback from people, right? What works, what doesn't work. So if you are in that dilemma, create two versions of it. It's just bucketing stuff that you already have put down in a chronological order into a little bit of showing the 4 or 5 qualities that you really stand for.
It might also be helpful for people who have a longer, like 6-7
Yes,
years.
yeah,
of
exactly.
work. Yeah.
That's another point on larger work set.
A quick clarification: is there a preference of one over another?
No, there is. It suits certain profiles to bring it up. Like the two situations, like one is being in consulting before, second is larger work experience. Those CVs tend to be like this because you've done so much. Right?
Sometimes it may happen that you have worked at multiple firms.
Yes.
So with a different kind of role. So sometimes chronological may make more sense. Or a single firm you have worked like 4 or 5 years in different kind of capacities. So then bringing out a skill set. So it really depends on the kind of.
I think there was a question around working across multiple firms and how do you show it. So skill based would be much better, and at least in highlighting these are the 4 or 5 key things which come out, and here are the examples to show that. Question.
Shamil, a question. So on the third point, is it possible for somebody to have his education sector longer than the work experience, given that he hasn't worked much?
Yeah. So again, that's a balancing of the sections, right? It's a function of yes, how much time you've spent in a particular. So if your work experience is like 2 years, which is kind of the bare minimum for ISB, right? So you would want to highlight either your extracurriculars as a larger section or your acads as a larger section, right? At the same time, if you spend 6, 7, 8 years, 9 years in the industry, right? Naturally, we would expect your work experience section to be much larger. If it's an athlete who's kind of interviewing with us, we would expect that the extracurricular section would be larger. So it depends on your profile that's coming in. But yes, you should keep into account these things when deciding how much weightage to give to which section. What also usually helps, and we'll show you this, right? To give a one-liner at the beginning of the work section, which essentially sums up your entire work. Right? Just reading that one line, I should be able to figure out. And it also gives us the reviewers a view into आगे क्या आने वाला है. So why I did put a title line, I'm not sure. You also done.
I think you suggested me that I put the title line, so I put the title line. When he was reviewing my resume.
So it does make sense, and it sums up very well what you've done. So we'll show you some examples that we have.
But what are you looking at there? I mean, when you this title line, what exactly are you looking at?
So, for example, that entire work section will talk about multiple roles that you did or multiple positions that you did, multiple projects that you kind of executed, right? But as somebody was pointing out, what is the flow or what's the story in connecting all those together, right? That one title line connects whatever I have put below. Why did I do a particular thing? There was some reasoning behind it, hence I that title line. So it basically connects the entire work section on this is why I did it, and this is what I achieved, even just in one line, one sentence.
It's a very simple analogy there. You read the newspaper, it's like 500 words article, but there is a title. So it sort of gives you an indicator of what is coming. If the title is interesting, I would like to read the rest of the paragraph, otherwise not. So the analogy is that.
And it also, I think we had a question here, like again on the, I moved across multiple different roles which do not connect in any way. This is the way to connect.
Connect them. You have a question?
Can you give an example of this?
We will pull up the CVs and we'll show you specific. नहीं इसी में कर देंगे इसके बाद वाला में कर देंगे. Split of work sections.
Split of work sections. Yes, so you just highlight these things when you're showing examples.
This is something of what works well, what doesn't work well. Somebody else's CV, so I don't know. But if you would see the difference between these two, is that you have a standard way in which you put the dates, so they stand out at one side, right aligned. Also, there is something which is not very standard also. Typically, if you're using full months, then you should keep full months everywhere. If you're using 3 letters, then you keep 3 letters everywhere. So it's just standardization, nothing more than that. I think here, this is the personalization that I spoke of, right? So while the ISB format has a work section, people have split it down into achievements and initiatives. Right? So that's the kind of bucketing which is open to you to be able to personalize your CV.
But is this allowed? Like this is entertainment?
Yeah.
The format of CV.
Yeah, no. ISB format only specifies you do a work section, an academic section, and extracurricular section. Right? Internally, how you want to present it is your call.
Within the section, you can break it up. So you can have achievements first, or start with the title 9, then have achievements, so that I can read. Okay, you've got 4 achievements. It must be something fantastic. Let me go down.
And is maybe this particular candidate has used the box, right? Most of us use headings or something like that, right? You would also see that here nothing is bold, so it's just plain text. It seems like, right? Similarly, यहाँ पे बीच में designation है, यहाँ पे duration दिया है, मेरे को duration से मतलब क्या है? So there those are few things where just some standardization helps, right? So it's just a stark contrast in the two series.
A lot on aesthetics actually. Clearly,
Yeah.
aesthetically, these two are
It's also a little bit of bucketing also, right? Because bucketing really makes us figure out यहाँ ये achievement यहाँ है, नहीं तो मेरे को यहाँ ढूंढना पड़ेगा achievement कौन सा है, initiative कौन सा है.
So how low can you go on the font size? Is there
Usually
11 points से नीचे मत जाओ.
Worst from first 10. If at all.
I've seen a 10.5, and a 10.5 pushes through is good enough, but don't go below.
I would not recommend going below 11.
on area?
Area. पढ़ने लायक होना चाहिए.
Basically, you take a printout and you look at it yourself.
Yeah.
When you're taking a printout and you're looking at it, it should look good and readable. As long as that's happening, it's all good.
Don't go outside the print margins.
No, I use narrow margins, so that's still okay. Like the standard word margins are not.
Because a lot of alums had said that we should not use narrow, we should use the normal.
Because it also depends on a little bit of spacing, right? Because if you have every sentence ending at a narrow margin, then definitely.
If you think those extra 2 words will significantly add to the message, it's fine. The marginal utility of this. Otherwise, aesthetically, if it's like your CV should have some white space, this makes it easy to read.
How much white space is too much white space? Because some people don't have much done in their
I
life.
like it.
No, so then if that's what you feel, you haven't explored within yourself till now. I am pretty sure everyone who's here at ISB has sufficient amount of material to fill this page. You haven't explored enough within. And I have multiple examples from my own class.
For the work experience area and all, given that I am a YP candidate, so I have only 2 years. Accomplishments and all are there, fine. That's
fine. So that is judgment on the
as
structure.
as you said, balancing the section gets
That's fine. That we understand that. Right? Firms will understand that you have only 2 years of experience. You're a YP candidate. So automatically they'll give kind of more weightage to the other 2 sections.
Normal.
So that you get more space in between. You get more.
How you enter from the SB to the
So guys, just a time check. I think it's 5 minutes to 11. We'll go through the structured content till about 11:30, and after that, we'll sort of open it. Whatever your questions are, we'll take, and you can feel free if you have other comments.
Some my experience in the 2 or 3 and the business verticals that I looked at. Right? So that's just summing up what's going to come ahead. I think just a few things. I have followed the position-based format or the designation-based format. But what I have done is basically moved up key achievements through my career and put it up here so that this is the first thing somebody reads when looking at my workout section, right? So पता है ये key achievements हैं, उसके बाद देखते हैं content में आगे क्या है. That's the two things I wanted to highlight there.
I think something like even what sort of how can you quantify something which you feel is not quantifiable. So something you see here, he's just saying that he completed something 2 months ahead of schedule, right? I would think that that's a simple project which may not be otherwise quantifiable, but you're mentioning some aspect about having done it better than maybe a normal person would do it within the firm. So that's your impact. That's the impact which you're showing. Any other example?
Sometimes also works where you write how many students you serve, etc. Right? You may not be able to get the percentage number or the dollar number, right? But just the breadth of how many people you were talking to. They are talking to 4,000 plus clients on that particular portal, right? Or 90 plus traders supporting. So that's also like that is a quantification. It's not a dollar number or it's a percentage number, but just shows the extent, right? I think what also is how many out of how many. Sometimes that works. If it's a technical paper like a lot of people would have had, then just give the the readership or
the readership of journal. If it is an international journal, how many people from how many continents or from probably how many countries are there who are reading that?
Sometimes like an ACM tech or a Scientific American itself, the name can right? So I wanted to showcase specifically leadership if it didn't come across in the workx section. So I created a leadership section and then a competition section and a community service section, right? So that's my customization given whatever ISB's format was. ISB's format does not have this coloring. Alan's told me that it should stand out where one section ends and where it begins. So that's how I done the coloring. Yeah.
This definition, this one-liner that you have in your work experience is more like a functional definition of what you did as a intellectual load, sort of. And for this geography, is it how we should put it across, or are?
This is how I wanted to tell my story. Right? I had what will link whatever I have written here. If you have a different story which links multiple things that you put in here, then that's typically what you want to show. But at the same time, you want to show the work, the depth of your work, the impact of your work. Right?
So impact is not really.
Yeah, not necessarily a USD number value that I've kind of put here somewhere. 4.5 million, whatever number was.
So, switching to another board,
no.
Switching to another industry or role.
I think more than the motivation, we should consider that on a one-on-one basis. What's the particular situation. But so we should towards something fill-in showed why.
What happens there are times when you sort of leading somebody, but you're not by designation a manager or something. So that becomes pretty difficult to quantify. So say you've led 10 people, or you've trained like 100 people, but then what sort of benefit does that contribute to?
So just saying led 10 people is an impact in itself. What is the spike? Yes, absolutely.
And obviously you have to substantiate of what they finally did, right? So
led 10 people to do X.
No, but then the dollar figure becomes.
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay, so not if you see here also I don't have dollar figures everywhere, right?
Yeah.
I have, for example, I got recognized as subject matter expert in 2 years against the company average of 5 years. Right? This is not a dollar figure, but it's just that I wanted to show I was on fast track basis.
Your work experience are more on a depth basis than the breadth. How do you portray that? So more of a specialized role. Let's say if you have a more specialized role and work across.
So talk about your achievements within that specialization. So whatever, within a specialization, you may have things like technical stuff. You may have things like having trained people, having led a team, having done something like your cohort. In that relation, what have you done differently than others?
In that, you can even think of bucketing it by skills, probably leadership, the second thing, whatever.
Some question.
John, I wanted to ask, do we prefer that all the statements should finish in one line, or is it okay if they go to the next line?
So, meaning I have 3 lines is the max. Try to fit 2 lines is what I would say. And content. So, right now, there are certain ways you to see it. So, we should address. We should show one skill base.
And when you're putting a line, like just make sure that whenever you enter for a new line, have the thinking whether this new line is bringing something additional already not communicated by the start of the second line. Because if you're not showing anything, you're just completing a sentence. So think of a more creative grammatical way to structure that sentence rather than bringing it in the second.
A very tactical advice here is that use the second line if you're using it less than half, then please try to just force yourself to be grammatically creative and put it in one line.
Let me back. Can you start very the international model actually when I because it highlights and it's leave it to be a spike, right? That's why I brought it forward. So yes, typically the rule of thumb is you should limit till but before that, if you have a spike really highlight, then you should not shy behind from putting it up. So that.
So here also, again, for me, it was more of a natural choice because my work going on. And the thing that is you can is that and from the initial you can pick whatever you and then for example summary there or the two product design and which I did, which was a part of the CFT or skill based.
Function very focused, but we do have 2 different.
Ideally, you should maintain the integrity of a particular format, but if you feel like within a particular, say, chronological order, if you could highlight or 1-2 aspects of that role, you can do. But ideally, try to make it more integrated because otherwise it becomes more chaotic.
Where do you think that fits in? Or that's
So where do you sort of fit that?
So even
Based
you still so someone technically even mentoring or you have an area of expertise, you're helping someone in the firm, you may be senior to you. So you can quantify, okay, help this guy with this particular this impact. You can bring out like people management skills. Even if, for example, I was also one of the younger, so I like okay, coordinated, you're not the only one in the team. So with the external stakeholders.
Sometimes if you think that's the last specify the younger people to actually make that. If you feel it's going to highlight that, like the year also is created, I had the key 2-3 achieve. I have put it up at the top. That rated so that you particularly do this. Right? If you feel that is the thing you want to highlight right up front, so you can put it under that key.
So you are among your batchmates, how you perform, for example, 2 of 14 assistant managers, like what is for you, which
for this, what does he make from that? So does it really make like that? Can you just repeat the question?
So I think the question again was how much detail do you go into, right? Aspects to it, we typically kind of want to marry your profile to something that is so who works in industrials or works, they would understand what's going on. You would want to highlight not the really very technical aspects, but you would want to highlight the business aspects of it, right? If it did lead to something else, even if that means an operational improvement, right? This is a right? So while technically, you know, you would have other than the technical component was able to match
is driving the car. So you bring out that aspect along with the technical aspect, marry these two, and took out or bring forward a message.
What compared to a startup?
there are cost cutting that is done, better products that will.
So bring that out that you reduce cost by X% by doing this, where usually people are able to bring it down by Y%, where Y is hopefully less than X. And if and the other thing, you improve product design. So what did it lead to? Did it lead to better customer acceptance? Did it lead to better revenues? Bring that Absolutely fine.
See your every CV whatever so we want to have to thing which we don't we get same thing the human to feel you not distinctly in your time till now.
Here. And it's great. So this typically happens in every client meeting, right? We end up with point is you want to cover the key aspects of it, everything that you have done. So that you the other one is obviously relevance, and I think a little bit also goes into the detailed question that we had, right? Bring out a business relevance rather than something that is technically very sound, but you haven't really put in whether this has made a difference to the company that you're working with or the startup or whichever position that you are in. And finally, communication. So there are 2-3 things around that. While the SCR framework is what we use at McKinsey also, and I still haven't mastered it. So, but what I found useful was the STAR framework, which you guys would have heard. Situation, task, action, and result. Craft every sentence as a star. Start with an active verb. Use the one of the items that was there. Basically, folded my CV in half and twice, and then basically, you just figured out. There's a whole host of these, a lot of CV, and by this is by important highlighting, particularly do. It's very important, right? Even if it's in a team setting, what did you do? Impact. Quantifiable in many ways, being the breadth or time. The let's come to the questions there.
We talked about the star format. I personally, when I looked at the star format, I wasn't very impressed. So I thought, okay, let's look at it in a very commonsensical way. But what do I want to do? Point about what I have done. First of all, I want to catch the attention of the guy or the girl who's reading the resume. So I started with whatever was the impact of my work. That's how I started. So when you talk about R, I actually started with the result. I said increased revenue by 30%. Revenue is the percentage to increased revenue by 30%. But is 30% good enough? Say compared to 10 years, 10% was this year it was 30%. By dash. Completed the person relevant. I'm not just making up numbers. It's relevant because you bring and third achieve that. So that's how I would with result. Look relevant. Then I want you don't have to always follow That's
I think
might be there.
that's important. And it can yeah. Coming to the spikes, right? I can at least one.
Okay, GPA is one, but that's so
GPA at IIT, no, yes, GPA page, grad, you, I think, was one patent holder that we have at the firm, my class only. Are there, but
broadly, I think these are the
ones. Now, work. Yeah, so again, particular section, 8 section, other than keep it down. It's the lens. You should go by balance the section. Also, right, how you want to
but which balance it already. They're trying to see
it's definitely on the by work by show of series. These are like going there. Leadership, right? So I like more interesting.